Universal Studios sells one of the most expensive products in the entire theme park industry, and most guests do not fully understand what they are paying for until the experience is already slipping away from them. It is called Express Pass, and on the surface it sounds simple and fair. Pay extra and skip the lines, but in practice it has become one of the most sophisticated monetization traps in modern tourism, quietly reshaping how the park functions, how guests move through it, and how they emotionally experience their vacation. What used to be a convenience has been engineered into a pressure system that punishes anyone who does not upgrade, turning what should be a joyful, immersive escape into a psychological standoff between your wallet and your patience. When families arrive at Universal, they already expect to wait. Long lines are part of the deal at any major theme park. What they do not expect is to feel locked out of the park's core experience unless they pay again. You can stand in a regular queue for 15 minutes and already notice something feels off as Express Pass guests glide past through a separate entrance. After 30 minutes, the irritation starts to build. After an hour, frustration turns into anxiety, and that is the moment Universal is waiting for, because the park has created a system where the emotional pain of waiting becomes so strong that the upgrade feels less like an option and more like a necessity. The irritation is not accidental, it is a carefully calibrated part of the business model, because the slower the regular line moves, the more powerful the urge becomes to spend money just to make the discomfort stop. The reason Express Pass feels unavoidable today is that Universal has quietly redesigned the park around it. Ride capacity is no longer optimized for fairness or flow, but for revenue extraction. The more Express Passes they sell, the more priority those guests receive, and the slower the standby line moves. That slowdown then makes the Express Pass feel more valuable, which pushes more people to buy it, which further slows the regular line. It is a feedback loop that feeds on frustration, and it is incredibly profitable. Guests are not paying for speed, they are paying to escape a system that was designed to make them feel trapped in the first place. What makes it even more manipulative is how unpredictable the pricing has become. One day the Express Pass might cost $90. The next day it might be $300. Even though nothing about the ride itself has changed, the price is not tied to cost. It is tied to demand, desperation, and how badly people want relief. Families who carefully budgeted their vacation months in advance suddenly find themselves confronted with an algorithm that decides in real time how much their happiness is worth. The park has turned emotional discomfort into a fluctuating market, where the more crowded and stressful the day becomes, the more expensive it gets to enjoy it. Universal has even built social hierarchy into the system by bundling Express Pass with certain hotels, meaning that wealthier guests automatically receive line-skipping privileges while everyone else waits. This physically divides the park into two different experiences, one for people who can afford not to wait and one for people who cannot. It changes how guests see each other, turning what used to be a shared experience into a visible class divide, where some people glide through rides while others stand still, watching time and energy drain away. The irony is that Universal's rides are capable of moving enormous numbers of people per hour. Many of these attractions were engineered for high throughput, meaning long waits are not inevitable. But once Express Pass becomes the priority, the standby line loses its power. Even if the ride itself could move faster, it will not, because slowing the regular queue makes the premium option feel more valuable. That means people start skipping rides, leaving earlier, and feeling mentally checked out, even though they paid full price to be there. The park may be full, but the experience feels hollow. This is where the psychological damage really takes hold, because theme parks run on memory, not mechanics. Guests do not remember how many feet tall a coaster was, they remember how they felt waiting for it. If the wait felt unfair, manipulative, or humiliating, that feeling becomes the story they take home with them. And those stories spread faster than any advertising campaign, because people do not forget the sensation of being made to feel like they were second-class guests in a place that promised them magic. Universal's aggressive push for Express Pass revenue is not random. It is tied directly to the billions of dollars being poured into Epic Universe. A new megapark does not exist to break even, It exists to generate massive returns. ExpressPass is the fastest way to do that without raising ticket prices in a way that looks bad on paper. It turns emotional strain into profit, and the larger the park becomes, the more powerful that liver grows. But what it also does is train guests to associate Universal not with joy, but with constant micro decisions about whether they are willing to pay more just to avoid feeling miserable. What many people do not realize is that ExpressPass does not really sell speed, it sells dignity. Watching others walk past you while you stand still triggers something deep and uncomfortable. It makes people feel ignored, lesser, and left out. Universal understands this psychology extremely well, which is why they monetize it. They create an environment where you feel socially and emotionally pressured to upgrade, not because the ride is better, but because waiting feels like being punished for not spending enough. Parents feel this pressure the most. No one wants to look at their child and explain that they cannot ride something because the family cannot afford to skip the line, so they swipe the card. Couples feel it, groups of friends feel it, everyone feels the quiet shame of being stuck while others move, and that shame is what drives sales. That is not hospitality, that is emotional extraction. Online, the backlash is growing, and it is not coming from casual visitors. It is coming from longtime fans who remember when Universal felt generous and accessible. People describe feeling tricked, drained, and manipulated. They talk about how the park still looks incredible, how the rides are still thrilling, but how the emotional tone has changed. The magic is being replaced by a constant awareness of money, and once guests start seeing the machine behind the fantasy stops working. The danger for Universal is that goodwill is more valuable than any ticket upgrade. Disney already burned through much of theirs, and Universal inherited it by being seen as the fun, less greedy alternative. But ExpressPass is eroding that reputation quickly. When guests start thinking of Universal as the park where you have to pay twice to have a good time, loyalty collapses. Families visit less often, fans stop forgiving mistakes, and social media shifts from celebration to criticism. No amount of billion-dollar expansion can fix that kind of emotional damage. Universal Studios is not failing right now, but ExpressPass reveals exactly what kind of company it is becoming. A company that no longer sells joy as its primary product, but sells relief from a system designed to make you uncomfortable. And relief is not the same thing as happiness. A great theme park makes you forget money exists. A bad one makes you think about it constantly. ExpressPass ensures that no matter where you are in the park, you are always aware of what you did or did not pay, and that awareness slowly kills the magic that keeps people coming back. If Universal continues to build its future on selling relief instead of creating joy, it will, not matter how big Epic Universe becomes or how advanced the technology gets, because emotional connection is what drives loyalty, and once that connection breaks, even the largest parks eventually begin to empty.